It's just a ploy to get free auras. Oh, jeez, we're going to raid. Are we ready to talk about Ray Comfort? And is anybody actually tired of that joke yet? I would hope not, because it's not stopping anytime soon. We're gonna get into the fan art section, and then apparently, Ray Comfort says how to easily prove God to an atheist. So apparently he's gonna prove it to me, guys. He's gonna prove it to me. But first, let's get into the fan art section. This one is from Hannah Haig or Hannah Hag. I don't know how to pronounce the squiggly over the A, because I have like 2 brain cells and they don't work very well. There's no context given here, but it's made Suris, and I'm currently made Suris. I didn't plan that. The next one we have here is from XLR. Said, happy birthday, Suris. Although Sonic is the main hero of his franchise, we must not forget those loyal friends who help him in his fight against Eggman. The most trusted of which is Miles Tails Prower. The purple tail is obviously a nod to Slime Cat Suris or Slime Neko Suris, whichever you'd prefer, and the yellow tail is a tribute to Sonic's staunchest ally and friend. Hope you like it, and thank you from all of us who watch your content. Aw, thank you, XLR. As always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, Snydertown, thank you very much for redeeming your points for... You fucking degen. Said, oh god, Thor not plugged? No. See, here's what's gonna happen. This is normally where I would say subscribe and hit the bell notification icon and maybe even do yourself a huge favor and, you know, go to the Discord and do all that fun stuff. Said, your reverb broke? Did it? Did it? Let's try it again. Oh, wait a minute. I know what's going on. So that one was clearer. Reverb officially hates Ara. It does. So your old mic also did that. Hey, I don't know why the mic is doing it now. It's weird. I don't understand microphones. It's just a ploy to get free auras. Oh, jeez, we're going to raid. We're going to raid the bicycle man.
Eternity. This isn't just who you're going to marry or what you're going to do for a job. This is where you're going to spend forever. There's a bee on me? Do you want to hit it? Do you think there's a heaven and a hell?
No.
You got no hope in your death? You're just waiting for death to come?
Yeah, I want to see what happens. I don't think it's possible to know.
Do you believe in God?
No.
So you're an atheist?
Yes.
Why?
I don't think there's enough proof to say that there is a God.
Okay.
If I gave you proof, would you change your mind?
Yeah, it would have to be pretty good proof.
I can give you pretty good proof. Absolute scientific proof.
Absolute scientific proof that God is real? Oh, interesting. I'm curious. Let's see.
In about 1 minute. Should we give it a try?
Sure.
Every building is proof of a builder.
Oh boy! Blind watchmaker argument. It's the blind watchmaker argument. I'm so fucking happy. 2 seconds in, we've just got watchmaker. We've just got watchmaker. That took no time. Said, really, that one again? Of course. Well, do you think that he's ever gonna actually like have other things to say besides that? Said, watchmaker argument, burn it with fire. Yeah. Yep. When you just like the whole like a design implies a designer. Anything that's designed intelligently requires an intelligent designer. Except for the fact that we see things all the time that look like they were designed and were formed by all kinds of natural circumstance. But okay. Let's go ahead and continue.
Every painting is scientific proof of a painter. We know that.
Scientific proof of a painter? Scientific proof of a painter. That's a weird way of using the word proof.
Because a building cannot build itself, it's impossible, and a painting cannot paint itself.
But a structure that looks built can be formed by circumstance. A mudslide can happen and arrange itself so that it looks like there was a man-made cave formation. Like, there's all kinds of ways that you can get things that look designed and yet aren't.
Builder could have died 100 years ago, but you know there was a builder because the building's there. Painter could have died 300 years ago, but you know there was a painter because paintings don't paint themselves. Creation is evidence of a creator.
Okay, here's the problem, though. You're using loaded language. When you use the word creator, when you use the word creation, you're looking at reality and saying, well, reality is evidence of a creator. A painting is evidence of a painter because we know that paintings come about because of painters. A building is evidence of a builder because we know that buildings come about because of builders. But when you look around and you already presuppose that everything around you is creation, then of course you're going to come to the conclusion that you need a creator. But that's not really the case, because when you look around, what you have is reality. You don't have creation. You have to assume it's creation. You know it's reality to at least, some reasonable degree, unless you're a solipsist, in which case I can't help you because you can't help you.
Flowers and birds and trees, the sun, the moon, the stars, puppies and kittens, male and female, the seasons, the fruits, all these things are evidence of the genius of God's creative hand. An atheist believes the scientific impossibility that nothing created everything.
Okay, but here's the other problem. Now we're continuing the wordplay. So nothing created everything. Nothing cannot create because nothing has no agency. Nothing is not a person. Nothing is not something with a conscious mind. But atheists don't really believe that nothing created everything, because we don't believe that nothing is an agent that just makes things. There's all kinds of concepts that can bring reality into being and don't require a God belief. Hell, in some versions of polytheism, there's actually just the concept of chaos, and chaos begets reality as we know it because an infinite amount of time with chaos will beget an infinite amount of things randomly, and one of those things necessarily would be our reality. That's a concept that you can get outside of monotheistic Christianity. When we are talking about reality as we know it, if we are assuming that it was all, I said, is this person God, they're talking but not moving their lips? No, so the person talking is Ray Comfort. Ray Comfort is a young earth creationist, Christian apologist, whose entire, I don't want to use the word grift, because that would imply that he doesn't believe the things he says. I believe Ray Comfort believes everything he says 100%. I believe he's convinced that he is the smartest boy and he's figured it all out. Ray Comfort is one of the most well-known Christian apologists. He's actually the one that said that the evidence of God existing is the fact that bananas are shaped in such a way that they fit in our hands perfectly. Ignoring the fact that modern-day bananas are actually man-made and they're all cloned, so technically everything he's saying is bullshit based on that analogy. Ignoring that awkward bit of madness, that's what he's known for. Big old Christian apologist guy. What he likes to do is he likes to go onto college campuses and interview people who call themselves atheists or agnostics who are not actually prepped for any conversations with him, and he talks with a lot of loaded questions and loaded language, as evidenced by him saying, well, creation implies a creator. He's right, if in fact everything around us is created, like creation ex nihilo specifically, as opposed to everything around us simply being existence or being reality.
It's your alternative. That's where you fall back to.
Eric Knox says, wasn't it shown that when someone presses him back, he doesn't air the video? I don't know. Oh, but that does bring up the next thing with Ray Comfort. The other thing he's known for is cutting out multiple instances of people responding to him in his videos, so that it just sounds like he's pushing somebody into one particular belief, as opposed to the more likely scenario, which is a lot of people just don't want to deal with his bullshit.
If you believe there was no creator, then everything was created by nothing, not from nothing, but by nothing, and that's scientific.
Okay, so he makes the distinction from nothing, by nothing. We need to talk about t equals 0 for a minute. We need to talk about t equals 0. So the t equals 0 event, also known as the Big Bang, is the moment when time begins, because time is a measurement of change. Nobody, as an atheist, with a couple of exceptions, are talking about a world where literally, or a universe where literally nothing was all that there was, and then suddenly everything popped into existence. When we're talking about the singularity, that... Why is Jimmy calling me? Hold up. This might actually be interesting. Hold on. I just unplanned just got a call from Jimmy. Like, wait, what? What's going on? Sudden collab. I just sent him a message asking what's up. So we'll see what that is. So the Jimmy signal, Jimmy Snow collab. Fucking hell. Is Jimmy the warden of Horny Jail? No, I'm pretty sure he just is Horny Jail. Okay. Anyway, I think it's not about anything major. My editor will just have to cut some of that out of the video. I don't remember where I was. But basically, when we are talking about reality, when we are talking about all material matter, everything existed at one point in the singularity. That's what we can tell as far as we know. The fact that the state of that energy and matter changed into what we know today after several hundreds of thousands of millions of years does not change the fact that none of it's new. No fruit that grows on a tree today is a new piece of matter that didn't previously exist. It's all a rearrangement of the exact same atoms, and has been that way for thousands of years. Unironically, you know the Futurama episode where they're talking about how they solved the trash problems in the world, and how they solved it by just, like, immense recycling? And they point to Fry and say, like, that sandwich you're eating is actually made out of thousands of other older recycled sandwiches. Technically, that's how all reality is, and always will be. Literally, every single atom in your body is recycled from something else. And it will be that way ad infinitum, as far as we can tell.
Perfectly impossible. Nothing cannot create anything because it's nothing. That's why the Bible says the fool has said in his heart there's no God. Let me ask you another question. Sorry.
Who created God?
You know, there are certain things in life that are very sure, and that is when an atheist gets proof of God's existence, they default to that question, who created God?
All right, so here's the thing about him taking on atheists who are not prepared to talk with him. Who created God is not a good answer to anything that a Christian would ask you. Because within the Christian mythos, God has no creator. Within the Christian mythos, God is infinite being. He is the one contingent being that all other things are contingent on. So it's kind of impossible to ask, or it's incongruent to ask who created God. Because the Christian is, there's not an answer they're going to be able to have for it. Because it's literally not within their mythos for God to have a beginning point. Instead, why is God the necessary being? If you are having this conversation with somebody, asking who created God just kicks the can one step away, because who created God would just be God at that point. Instead, asking, why is the thing everything contingent on have to be God? Why does it need to be God? Why does it need to specifically be your God? That's a much more difficult question to answer because it's not a question that's pre-built into the Christian mythos.
Answer. God is without the dimension of time. We are in time. We have to wait for time to pass. But God dwells in eternity. And that's where you're going to go when you die. So here's a question for you, Vanessa. Is your life pleasing to God, or are you doing things that are morally frowned upon by Him?
Probably say I would do things that are morally frowned upon him.
You see, that's why we deny God's existence, because it makes us feel uncomfortable that God sees us.
So this is a completely different argument. The idea that people deny God because they want to sin. Most people do not just deny God because they want to sin, but most things a person does are sinful to God. It's just part of being a human being. This is just a way to guilt people into prostrating themselves to God.
You know that God knows how many hairs are on your head? Did you know that? Every single one is known by God. In fact, He knows intimately the middle atom that makes up your eyeball, because He made it. He gave you your brain, your blood, your skin. Everything about you was given to you by God, He gave you the ability to enjoy good music, hearing, the ability to enjoy the blueness of the sky, eyesight, the ability to think, that's your brain.
Okay, so this is just a bunch of claims. This is just a bunch of claims at this point. Did you know God knows how many hairs are on your head? Well, if he's a being that knows everything, then yeah, necessarily he would know that. Why is that important? Why does that matter? Like, I've never understood why any of that necessarily matters. Like, if God exists, and he is an omnipotent, all-knowing being, then yeah, he would necessarily know those things. Why is that of significance? You see, this awkward thing happens when you're talking about the divine or a deity of any kind. The extraordinary, when it is part of everyday living, becomes very, very ordinary. If God is all-knowing, then it's super unique that he himself knows how many hairs are on your head, and nobody else knows that information. But if that's just his existence all the time, it's not super impressive. It's just a thing that's within his power that he does. It's not impressive when I jump and land on the ground on my own 2 feet, because that's just a thing that's within my power. Now, in about 40 years, that might be a pretty impressive feat for me to do without breaking a couple bones. But currently, it's not a really impressive feat. That's, again, assuming your God exists. If we don't assume he exists, then we just say that you're writing a fictional character. And I don't know why I care.
Do you think you're a good person?
I try to be.
Okay. This is a deliberate swing from her intellect to her conscience, because my agenda is not to convince her that God exists. She already knows that. God's given light to every single person. My agenda is to show her her need of God's forgiveness. I want to share the gospel with her because that's the power of God to salvation. That's the way she can find everlasting life. And for the gospel to make sense, I've got to take her through the commandments.
Of course you do. Of course you do. I thought you said you could prove God in a single minute. It's been like 3.
It is the bow of the moral law that gives the arrow of the gospel its thrust. Okay. I'm going to put it to the test. Can you be honest with me?
Yeah.
How many lies have you told in your life?
Probably a lie. I couldn't count.
So what do you call someone who tells lies?
A liar.
So what do
Nope. No. That is not fucking true. So, people can lie without being liars. No. Fuck the upshot. Here's the deal. Lies are amoral. If anybody tells you that lying is immoral, they're lying to you. Lies are amoral. Let me give you an example of a moral lie. Let's say that it is currently the early 1940s. And let's say you happen to be in Weimar's Germany. And in the middle of Nazi Germany, you are currently holding your best friend in your house. You are protecting your best friend. But the stormtroopers come to your house. Now, you've got a choice. Your best friend is currently held up in your basement, a basement that is not public knowledge because you built it yourself and nobody's really come to check up on your house's codes. Nobody knows you have a friend in the basement who's Jewish. Is it the morally virtuous thing for you to tell the stormtroopers the truth when they come to your doorstep? Yes, I am currently hiding a Jew in my basement. Is that a moral thing to do? If you're a sane person, you would say no. That's not a moral thing to do. If you are a sane person, you would agree that handing over your friend to the Nazis so they can be killed is not only a fucking stupid thing to do, but it's the amoral thing to do. Or it's the immoral thing to do. A lie is only as moral or immoral as the situation in which you are lying. It is immoral for a company to lie about the carcinogens in their products, but it is moral to do a lie that preserves life, especially innocent life in this case. We do not call somebody who lies a liar, we just call them a human because it is impossible as a human being to just never utter a lie. The first lie you utter in life is probably going to be one to yourself. You should probably do therapy about that. This idea that we must internalize the bad things we've done as a necessary part of our identity. This is one of the most toxic things that many Christian faiths use as a bludgeon to guilt people into the faith. Guilt people and make them believe that every thought they've ever had was not only criminal, but also necessarily defines them as a person, as opposed to the end results of their actions defining them as a person. And then convince them that the only way to wash themselves of that stain is through your deity. It's basically snake oil salesmanship. You are presenting them with a disease that they do not have, and then in the other hand presenting them with the cure that does not exist.
Are you?
A liar.
Do you still think you're a good person?
And I would disagree.
Yes.
Have you ever stolen something in your whole life, even if it's small, irrespective of its value?
So, again, let's talk about thievery. Thievery is another thing that is amoral. You may be saying, no, if somebody steals from me, that's bad. No, you're right. It would be bad for somebody to steal from you. But, hear me out. Let's say that you have a giant big box store, and this store has not only insurance for all of its products that go away, but they don't have any actual policy for firing their workers if certain stock goes missing. Now, let's say that you have your mother at home and she is currently starving to death. Or, alternatively, she is currently dying and in need of a very, very simple medication that you simply cannot afford. Is the moral thing to do steal from the store where there will be no repercussion at all to you or any worker and save your mother's life? Or is it more moral to simply not engage in that action and let your mother die? Which is the moral action? Which is the one that you should take? Which is the correct action? If your answer is that, well, the idea of thievery is way more important than the actual life of the mother, then please allow me to engage in a mite bit of ableism and call you a psychopath. And please stay very far away from me or anyone I care about, because the way you measure morality is not only arbitrary, but harmful. Most actions we take by themselves are amoral as general concepts. However, when you take those actions and apply them to individual situations, they become moral or immoral. Sex is an amoral act. Sex with consent is, again, amoral. There's no real morality to there, but sex without consent is an immoral act. See how that works? Just in general, any action you take, until we have given it modifiers, until we have given it a scenario, is amoral and means nothing. And amoral, for those who might be mishearing me, amoral means without moral consideration. Not immoral, which is the bad one, but amoral, outside of morality completely. We could continue with the Ray Comfort video, but I think we basically know what's going to happen here. Not only have we used the watchmaker fallacy, not only have we gone down here, we are now going to be guilting this young girl into trying to believe that she is the worst of the worst sinners and needs to be taken out to be punished by God. And the only way to save it is by saying, "Oh, please forgive me, Father, for I have sinned." Not very interesting, and we've basically gone over everything he can possibly offer us at this stage in the video. But this is where I have to throw it back to you guys. What do you think? Do you think we should have gone through the rest of the video? Do you think there's more that we could learn from this? Or do you think we've basically gotten the gist of everything because it's a Ray Comfort video and we know basically what's going on? Let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you haven't already. And please do yourself a favor. God belief is not a bad thing, but if you're going to proselytize, please don't be a dick like Ray Comfort about it. Don't be a little person who tells people they're born sick and then tell them they must be made well by themselves. Anyway, as always, everybody, it's your end of video tagline here.